you ever felt like your mind just one T stopped spinning? Like Yuri carrying the weight of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's fears, while today slips right through your fingers? We lie awake at night, overthinking the words we said, the choices we made, and the things we can't control. But what if I told you most of the things you're worrying about right now won't even matter in 5 years? Buddhist wisdom offers a gentle, powerful reminder. You don't have to carry it all. In this video, we'll explore a timeless path to peace through letting go, embracing presence, and learning to see your thoughts for what they truly are. Just passing clouds in a vast, open sky. So take a deep breath. Yuri not here by accident. Yuri here because part of you is ready to stop fighting and start finding peace. Does your mind ever feel like a battlefield, constantly wrestling with things you can't change? Sleepless nights, reliving past mistakes, or worrying about what is to come can leave you exhausted, trapped in a vicious cycle of worry. But what if there was a way out? A path to peace that has been illuminated by Buddhism for centuries. Letting go of what you can't control is the key to freeing yourself from this mental struggle. By accepting reality as it is, without fighting what is beyond your reach, you can ease your anxiety and find deep, lasting peace. Let us explore how accepting this truth can change your life. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, harsh words you can't take back, decisions you wish you could redo, or future uncertainties that haunt your thoughts. Too often, we torture ourselves by clinging to these moments, trying to rewrite history or control what has not yet happened. But here is the harsh truth. The more we resist what we cannot change, the more we suffer. Buddhist teachings remind us that pain comes not from the events themselves, but from our refusal to accept them. The Buddha taught that clinging our desperate need for things to be different is the root of suffering. When we obsess over fixing the unfixable, we invite stress, fear, and frustration into our hearts. So how do we free ourselves from it? It begins with seeing reality as it is, without distorting it through our desires or expectations. Acceptance is not giving up. It is release. It is choosing to stop carrying burdens that do not belong to you. I remember a Buddhist story about a traveler who saw a man pushing a large boulder up a hill, exhausted but determined to stop. When asked why, the man said, "I had to." The traveler smiled and replied, "But that boulder wasn't in your way." That story broke my heart. How often do we push our own boulders, broken relationships, missed opportunities, or past mistakes when they not really in our way? Fighting what is done only wears us out. Letting go is an act of inner strength. That's not weakness. It is choosing to move on more gently. When you stop resisting what has happened, you create space for peace to settle in. Try this. Stop, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what am I holding on to? Am I trying to control something that is beyond my reach? Just noticing this can be a game changer. I have days when my mind is a storm, focused on things I can't fix, like how others perceive me or outcomes I can't predict. But I've learned that peace doesn't come from making things perfect. It comes from how I choose to respond, with kindness and calm. Imagine Yuri standing next to a rushing river. You can't stop the present, but you can learn to flow with it. Life is like that river full of things you can't control. When you let go, Yuri not swept away. Yuri free to move at its own pace. The peace Yuri after? That's not out there. It is in the moment you stop fighting. The next time your mind feels heavy, remind yourself, you don't have to fix everything. Focus on your response, not the situation. That is where your power lies. This practice is true freedom. By accepting what you cannot change, you release anxiety and unlock a power you didn't know you had: the power to live peacefully, no matter what. Start today with a simple question. What can I let go of right now? The answer will bring you closer to the peace you seek. Have you ever felt like your mind is holding you hostage? Thoughts racing, memories replaying, worries looping endlessly, as if Yuri trapped in a storm you can't escape? There is a quiet truth that many of us forget in the chaos of daily life. You are not your thoughts. Let that sink in. You are not the anxiety that visits you at night. You are not the regret that echoes in your mind. Thoughts, no matter how loud or convincing, are just visitors, temporary guests passing through the vast space of your awareness. Most people live as if every thought must be believed, answered, fixed, or feared. But the teachings of Buddhism offer a radically freeing perspective. Your thoughts are like clouds drifting across the sky. Some are light and barely noticeable. Others are dark and heavy with emotion. Yet none of them define the sky itself. The sky remains unchanged. And just like that sky, the essence of who you are remains untouched, no matter what thoughts arise. So why do we so often mistake the cloud for the sky? Because we've forgotten how to simply observe. We've lost the practice of watching thoughts come and go without grabbing onto them or pushing them away. The mind generates thoughts the way the lungs breathe or the heart beats at us natural. But believing every thought, identifying with every idea, is where our suffering begins. Picture yourself sitting beside a quiet river. Leaves and small twigs float by, carried by the current. You don't feel the need to reach out and catch every single one. You just watch. That's how we're meant to observe our thoughts. Watch them come, watch them go. No clinging. No judgment. One of the Buddha's most powerful teachings was this. With our thoughts, we create the world. But here's what that really means: not that every thought is reality, but that your attachment to a thought can shape your experience of reality. If you cling to fear, fear becomes your lens. If you obsess over regret, it becomes your identity. But if you let thoughts pass like clouds, you remain in your natural state, calm, clear, and unshaken. This isn't about suppressing your thoughts or pretending they're not there. Suppression only adds more tension. It's about presence. It's about gently returning your awareness to the truth that thoughts are transient. They don't stay. They don't last. They're not you. Over time, this practice transforms your relationship with your mind. The overthinking begins to lose its grip. The fog clears. You start to realize that peace was always there, it was just buried beneath the noise. You begin to rest not in the content of the mind, but in the awareness behind the mind. And that's the gift. When you truly recognize that you are the sky, not the weather, you can finally breathe again. You stop arguing with your mind. You stop trying to fix every fleeting emotion. You let it be. You become the stillness that watches it all. So the next time you're caught in a spiral of overthinking, pause. Take a slow breath. Whisper to yourself, this thought is not me. It's just passing through. And then let it pass. In a world constantly pushing you to analyze, fix, and perfect every thought, you don't have to. You can choose to be the observer. You can choose stillness. And in doing so, you'll rediscover the part of you that was. Have you ever noticed that the mind rarely sits still? Even when you're perfectly safe, even when nothing is happening, your thoughts are off chasing regrets from yesterday or fears about tomorrow. Why is it so hard to just be here? Overthinking is like being lost in a storm that hasn't even arrived. It tricks you into believing that running through every possible outcome will somehow protect you from pain. But in truth, the more we dwell in the past or leap into the future, the more we disconnect from the only place where peace is ever possible. This moment. I've seen this in others, and I've lived it myself. There were days when I felt trapped in thoughts of what could be been or what might go wrong. I kept rehearsing mistakes I couldn't change and bracing for problems that hadn't even happened. And yet, none of that gave me clarity. It only created more noise. Buddhism offers a deeply simple but profoundly radical reminder. Peace lives in the now. Not in what was. Not in what might be. Only in what is. The Buddha once said, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. These words aren't just beautiful, they encompass. They point us home, back to ourselves, back to where life is actually unfolding. There is a parable that captures this truth with striking clarity. A monk and his apprentice were walking along a riverbank when they came to a crossing. The current was strong and fast. The apprentice froze, paralyzed by fear. He imagined being swept away, losing his balance, or worse. His mind ran wild. The elder monk simply looked at him and said, peace doesn't come from knowing the water is safe. It comes from placing your foot down with full awareness. That line changed the way I see everything. It's not about controlling every ripple in the river. It's about being fully present as you take the step. That's where peace is. Not in having all the answers, not in predicting every wave, but in meeting the moment with complete attention. When you're caught in overthinking, your mind is like that river, fast, unpredictable, and full of imagined danger. But you're not the current. You're the one watching it. And the more you can root yourself in the awareness of this breath, this step, this heartbeat, the more the mind begins to quiet. The present moment doesn't promise comfort or certainty, but it does offer truth. And there's a kind of freedom in facing the truth of where you are without flinching, without needing it to be different. You might ask, how do I stay in the now when my mind keeps running away? Start small. Feel the texture of your breath. Notice the warmth in your hands. Listen deeply to one sound. You're not trying to force the thoughts to stop, you're just choosing to place your attention somewhere steady, somewhere real. Over time, these little moments build into something powerful. You begin to see through the illusions of control. You stop rehearsing the past and stop fearing a future that doesn't exist yet. You begin to trust the now. And here's the core truth I've come to believe. You don't find peace by solving every problem. You find it by showing up to life as it is, fully awake, one breath at a time. So the next time your thoughts pull you into what-if scenarios or old regrets, gently guide yourself back. Place your foot on the earth. Feel your breath. Remind yourself, I am here. And that is enough. Why do we act like what we're feeling right now will last forever? Whether it is heartbreak, anxiety, or even happiness, we hold on so tightly, as if clinging could stop time. But what if peace begins the moment we stop trying to make anything permanent? We spend much of our lives trying to resist change. We fight against endings, grasp at moments we wish would last, and fear that what we love might slip away. And yet, the deeper I've looked into life and into the teachings of the Buddha, the more I've realized. Everything we experience is temporary. Joy passes. Pain passes. Even our deepest worries are like morning mist, thick and heavy at first, but already fading as the light touches them. This isn't just philosophy. It's the rhythm of life itself. The universe moves like an endless river, always carrying us forward. Nothing clings to the banks forever. Nothing stays the same. To live fully, we must let go. Not in a way that makes us detached or numb, but in a way that allows us to be present, to accept, and to flow. There were times when my own thoughts felt like stone walls, regret over the past, fear of what might come. I truly believed those feelings would never end, that my suffering somehow had become a part of who I was. But the more I sat with that pain, the more I watched it instead of resisting it, the more I noticed something subtle but powerful. It shifted. Sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always, it moved. The Buddha said, all conditioned things are impermanent. And when I first heard that, it sounded simple, even obvious. But the more you live with it, the more you see that this truth is incredibly freeing. Your sorrow? Temporary. Your confusion? Temporary. Even your deepest struggles, they're just visitors. They rise, they stay a while, and they fade. And here is something that changed me. You are not those visitors. You are the space they move through. You are the vast stillness beneath the waves. The thoughts, emotions, even the chaos, they may crash around you, but they are not you. It's like sitting under an ancient tree. The seasons come and go. The flowers bloom. The leaves fall. The wind howls. The snow covers the ground. But the tree-rooted and patient welcomes each season without holding on. And it lets them go just as easily. We can live like that. We can breathe through our seasons knowing that joy, like blossoms, will eventually fade. And that sorrow, like winter, won't last forever. Often when we overthink, it's because we believe something must be fixed, solved, or prevented. We feel that if we don't figure everything out right now, we'll fall apart. But impermanence whispers something gentler. This will pass. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, like every wave that hits the shore, it will recede. One of the mantras I carry with me in heavy times is this. I am the sky. My thoughts are clouds. I am the river. My struggles are leaves. It reminds me that I don't have to wrestle with every feeling. I can rest beneath them. I can watch them move without letting them move me. When we forget this truth, we suffer unnecessarily. We mistake the wave for the ocean, the emotion for our identity. But once we recognize impermanence not as an idea, but as a lived truth, something opens up inside us. We stop fearing the night because we remember. The dawn always follows. So if your heart feels heavy right now, if your mind is racing or tangled in knots of worry, just pause. Take a slow breath and remind yourself, this too will pass. Not because weary pretending it is easy, but because nothing lasts forever, not even this. You are not broken. You are simply in motion. Trust the movement. Trust the falling away. Trust that each ending carries the seed of a quiet new beginning. You don't need to escape your struggle, you only need to see it clearly and ride the current. Everything changes. And in that change, there is hope, healing, and a return to who you truly are beneath it all. Still, spacious, and free. Is it possible that the peace you searching for, the one that seems so far away, is already here, quietly waiting underneath all the noise? In today's world, life moves fast. Too fast. Weary, pulled in 100 directions every day. Messages to answer, goals to chase, images to compare ourselves to. It's no wonder we feel overwhelmed, anxious, and disconnected from our own hearts. But I've learned this. The path to peace isn't about doing more. It's about less noise, less clutter, fewer distractions. It's about simplicity. The Buddha offered us a powerful truth that is easily forgotten in our modern world. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. When I first heard that, it stopped me. I had spent years thinking happiness was somewhere out there, something to earn, to achieve, to finally arrive at once I got everything figured out. But that is not how it works. Happiness isn't a destination waiting at the end of a to-do list. It's a way of walking right now through your day. It's found in how you make tea, how you greet a stranger, how you breathe when no one is looking. It's not in what you have, but in how present and open you are to the moment you're in. In Buddhist practice, we return again and again to the idea that the mind, when untrained, complicates everything. It adds extra layers of fear, planning, comparison, and regret. But underneath that is something natural, still, and whole. Simplicity isn't about giving everything up. It is about letting go of what is unnecessary, the extra weight we carry without realizing it. This is where Zen comes in with a concept I deeply admire, shibumi. It is a Japanese word that is hard to translate perfectly, but it points to a kind of quiet elegance, a beauty that comes not from decoration, but from essence. Think of a single wildflower in a field, a handmade bowl with a tiny crack, the hush of snowfall, nothing loud, nothing flashy, just real. Shibumi invites us to stop chasing the loudest, brightest things, and instead find richness in the simple, the subtle, the sincere. When life is simplified, meaning becomes clear. I've seen this again and again. People who learn to quiet the noise inside themselves begin to feel more alive, not less. When they stop overthinking every conversation, stop measuring their days by how much they got done, and instead notice small, quiet joys, something shifts. It is not about escaping responsibility or pretending problems don't exist. It is about recognizing that most of what weighs us down isn't life, it is the mental clutter we've built around it. So ask yourself, asterisk, how much of what I worry about truly matters? Asterisk, how many of my thoughts are solving anything? And how many are just looping? Asterisk, what can I release today that would make space for peace? You don't need to throw away everything and live in a sea. Avenue simplicity starts where you are. Maybe it is putting down your phone for an hour. Maybe it is sitting with a cup of tea and just drinking it without multitasking, without planning. Maybe it is saying no to one more obligation you don't truly need to carry. And maybe, most of all, it is simplifying your inner world. Watching your thoughts without clinging. Letting go of old stories. Stopping the chase for some future version of yourself and being here now. What I've come to realize is this. In the stillness that simplicity creates, we rediscover who we really are. Not the version of ourselves we perform for others, but the quiet, steady presence that has always been here. A presence that doesn't need to prove anything. Presence, that's already enough. In the words of a Zen master, when life is made simple, its meaning becomes infinitely deep. That's not just poetic. That's true. When we clear away the clutter internally and externally, we begin to see that the joy we were searching for was never far. It was only hidden by the noise. Simplicity isn't a downgraded a return. A return to clarity, to meaning, to presence. And from that space, life becomes more peaceful, more beautiful, and more real than you ever imagined. What if the peace you're seeking isn't something to find but something to return to? Something that has been with you all along, hidden in the rhythm of your breath. In a world that never seems to pause, we've grown used to being pulled in every direction by notifications, memories, worries, and endless mental commentary. Our minds jump from what happened yesterday to what might happen tomorrow, rarely stopping long enough to feel where we actually are. But here is something I've discovered over and over again. The mind cannot truly settle anywhere except the present. And the most direct path back to that presence is so simple we often overlook it: the breath. Breathing is the one thing we're always doing, yet so rarely paying attention to. It is the quiet companion of our lives, asking for nothing, expecting nothing, always there. When the world feels chaotic, when your thoughts won't stop spinning, your breath is the anchor waiting patiently to bring you home. Mindfulness, in its purest form, isn't some complex technique. It's the gentle act of noticing, of coming back. And the breath is the doorway through which presence walks in. The Buddha spoke often about this unity between breath and mind. He taught that when the mind is serene, the breath flows freely, and that guiding the breath is one of the most powerful ways to guide the heart. This wasn't abstract philosophy. It was lived experience. And it still is. I've seen it again and again. When someone brings their attention to their breath, something begins to shift. Not dramatically, not all at once, but like a river calming after a storm. The breath doesn't erase your problems, but it reframes them. It reminds you that this moment is the only place life truly unfolds. You don't need to change your breath. You don't need to make it deeper or longer. All you need to do is notice. Right now, try it. Feel the air coming in. Feel your chest rise. Then feel the exhale, that subtle letting go. That's presence. That's enough. When the mind is full of tension, regret, or overthinking, the breath becomes shallow, tight, and rushed. But when we return to it with gentleness, not to force it, but simply to meet it, we create space. And in that space, the mind begins to soften. The stories begin to lose their grip. I like to think of the breath as a loyal friend. It doesn't judge you. It doesn't demand perfection. It is there for your joy, your sorrow, your confusion, always steady, always honest. In every breath is a chance to start over. Imagine your thoughts like clouds drifting across the sky, some light, some heavy, some stormy. But no matter how wild the sky looks, it always returns to clarity. The sky never clings to the clouds. And when you sit with your breath, you begin to remember, you are the sky. The breath helps you remember what is eternal within you, beneath the temporary weather of your thoughts. There is a quiet strength in choosing presence, in choosing not to be swept away by every thought or emotion. And you don't need years of practice to begin. You need only this moment, this breath. Sometimes people say to me, but my mind won't stop racing. And I always say, that is okay. Just bring your awareness back again. Even if you do it 100 times in a day, each return is a small act of courage. Each return is a step toward peace. The more we practice this returning, the more we realize that peace isn't something outside of us. It is something we create with our attention, with our breath, with our choice to stay. So the next time you feel scattered, anxious, or overwhelmed, pause. Don't try to solve everything. Don't try to fix the future. Just breathe. Feel your body. Come back. The breath will meet you there as it always has. Peace isn't found in the perfect moment, it is found in presence. And your breath is the key. Return to it often, and you'll find that what you were searching for was never far away. It was within you, waiting all along. Have you ever lost sleep over something, an awkward text, a bad meeting, a harsh word, only to realize months later it didn't matter at all? What if you could see that before the spiral began? Our minds are incredibly good at making small problems feel enormous. A single moment of embarrassment can replay like a broken record. A missed opportunity, a harsh look, an uncertain future. These thoughts build, layer by layer, until we re-tangled in anxiety that feels too heavy to carry. But here is a question that has brought me back to peace again and again, especially when I am stuck in overthinking. Will this matter in 5 years? That's simple, yes, but don't underestimate its power. This question has a way of pulling you out of your mental fog and showing you a bigger picture, one that is rooted in truth, not fear. When we re-caught in the emotion of a moment, everything feels urgent and dramatic. The mistake you made at work, the thing you wish you hadn't said, the plan that didn't go the way you hoped. But take a breath. Step back. 5 years from now, will this moment still hold weight in your heart? Most of the time, the answer is no. Not because the moment wasn't real, but because you've grown. Because time, perspective, and wisdom have reshaped the landscape. Like footprints on a beach, even the deepest ones are eventually washed away by the tide of time. The Buddha taught us that suffering is born not from events themselves, but from our attachment to them, our refusal to let go. And in that light, this question isn't just a mental trick. It is a tool for liberation. It invites us to release what doesn't serve us and to return to what truly matters. So what does matter in 5 years? It is rarely the things we obsess over in the moment. It is not the email we sent at the wrong time or the awkward silence in a meeting. What lasts are the quiet acts of kindness. The times we showed up with love. The growth we allowed ourselves. The peace we cultivated by choosing presence over panic. I remember once I was deeply troubled by a falling out with someone I cared about. My thoughts spun day and night, what I should be said, what I should be done differently. I kept replaying it, hoping the past would somehow shift. And then I sat with this question. Will this matter in 5 years? The answer came like a breeze through an open window. Not in the way I think it will. What mattered wasn't the argument, it was whether I had grown from it. Whether I had learned compassion. Whether I could move forward with grace. That shift in view didn't erase the pain, but it freed me from drowning in it. It's easy to believe that overthinking keeps us safe. That if we analyze enough, predict enough, worry enough, we'll somehow stay in control. But the truth is, overthinking is like trying to rearrange clouds with your hands. It drains your energy and changes nothing. The question, will this matter in 5 years? Zooms you out, pulls your attention away from fear and toward clarity. It helps you prioritize what is real, what is worthy, and what you can lovingly let go. This is not about dismissing your feelings. It is about giving them context. It is about offering yourself the gift of peace by realizing that most of what you're carrying today won't weigh anything tomorrow. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, place a hand over your heart. Take a breath and ask gently, in the vastness of my life, is this truly important? You might be surprised at what fades and what remains. When you ask, will this matter in 5 years? You're not avoiding life, you're reawakening to it. You're letting go of the noise and choosing the truth. The truth that what endures isn't fear, control, or perfection, but presence, kindness, and growth. If there is one thing I hope you take from this, it is that peace isn't somewhere far away. That's not something you chase. That's something you return to. The thoughts will come. The worries will whisper. But you are not your fears. You are not your past. You are the sky. Everything else is weather. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, just pause, breathe, and ask, will this matter in 5 years? If this video brought you comfort, clarity, or even just one moment of stillness, please like it, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to join this journey of mindful living. Together, let us keep walking gently, truthfully, and awake. Peace is already within you. All you have to do is remember.